Hello, I am going to talk about scoring and grading tests and assignments, specifically the topic of the rubrics. So the first question was, why do we use scoring rubrics when assessing speaking and writing skills? We use rubrics because a rubric is a guide that uses a range of criteria for assessing students' performance. So I think this is really important because we have to carefully think about these criteria, and it also has to be related to the objectives of the lesson plan and also the skills that the students have to develop. So it is all related. It is part of the structure of the class. And finally, the rubric is the instrument which allows us to apply these criteria. It also allows us to objectively measure student performance on an assessment activity. I also think this is important because if we don't have an instrument, well-structured and planned instrument to measure students' performance, we could be assessing subjectively. And we cannot do this because when we assess, we gather information to know and to analyze and to make decisions related to the students' performance, and we cannot do this by subjective opinions. The rubrics also offers quantitative and qualitative results, and I think this also depends on the type of rubric that we use and the type of task. So I wanted to give an example of this based on the previous, here it is, the previous task. So here I created this example of a rubric that offers quantitative results because of the type of task. Is a multiple choice task. And then we have a rubric which applies different criteria, and it is related to this task which has opened questions. So I wanted to give this example of how the type of results that we obtain have to do also with the task. Also, the purpose is to use this information to improve the learning process, and it also, there has to be a feedback to the students once we have applied the rubric, and also keep in mind that a rubric is a tool for the teacher and also for the students, because it allows us to identify what quality work is for the students, and students can judge their own work. So it is important that we can share these rubrics that we have created with the students, so they can also judge their own work, they can also analyze their own performance. And I think this is important because we do it in the university, but we almost never do it with kids in school or high school, and we should be doing that. So then we have, what is the difference between analytic and holistic rubrics? The holistic rubric is a single criteria rubric used to assess students' overall achievement on an activity. And some of advantages of this rubric that we can see here, we have only one criteria. It is well described, has a big description. This is important, but it's just one. And then we have here a score and also a word that provides us an idea of the performance. Also, we have exemplary, proficient, acceptable, weak, and acceptable. So this is an example of an holistic rubric, and some advantages of using this rubric is that it is faster to score, and also if we are applying a summative assessment, it could be better to use a holistic rubric. The disadvantage is that it doesn't communicate what to improve and is not good for formative assessment. And on the other side, the analytic rubric is a two-dimensional rubric with levels of achievement as columns and assessment criteria as rows. So here we have an example. It's two-dimensional because we have one in 2 dimensions, and then we have a description. We also have this word or expression that lets us know somehow the level. So below expectations, satisfactory, and exemplary. And we have also a quantitative result here. The advantages of using this rubric is that it can be helpful for diagnosis. It gives formative feedback. It is adaptable. It combines scores. And the disadvantage is that maybe it takes more time to evaluate with this type of rubric. So we finally have to decide based on the type of assessment that we are applying, if it is formative or summative, the type of task, the type of information that we are trying to gather, and also other factors like the time can be important to consider. And finally, these rubrics, this is an example of a holistic rubric to assess. This is for oral presentations. So speaking and writing. Yes. So this is for oral presentations for speaking, and this is for writing. So here we have some idea of the criteria that we can use. I always try to find this type of examples to have an idea of what I should be assessing. And I think that is all because of the time. Thank you very much.